Louis Pasteur, the man who outwitted death. Sit down, my friends, and let me tell you a story. Not just any story, my story. A story of curiosity, of battles fought in the shadows, and of a man who refused to accept that suffering was inevitable. I was born in 1822 in Dole, a small town in France, to a tanner named Joseph Pasteur and his wife Jeanne. My father was a hard man, shaped by war and labor, but he taught me the value of discipline. My mother, she was the heart of our home, and her love was my first lesson in the power of kindness. As a boy, I was no prodigy. My teachers called me mediocre in chemistry. Mediocre. I preferred fishing and drawing to books, but I had a hunger to understand the world. That hunger led me to the École Normale Supérieure in Paris, where I earned my doctorate in 1847. My early work was in crystallography, studying the shapes of crystals under a microscope. It was delicate work, but it taught me patience. Little did I know, those tiny crystals would be the first step on a path that would change medicine forever. In 1854, I became a professor at the University of Lille. The local wine and beer industries were in crisis. Their products were spoiling, turning sour, and costing them fortunes. The prevailing wisdom was that fermentation was a chemical process, but I suspected something else was at work. I spent months hunched over my microscope studying the tiny organisms in fermenting liquids, and then I saw them. Yeasts, tiny living creatures that turn sugar into alcohol. But when the liquid turned sour, it wasn't just yeasts I found. There were other microorganisms, bacteria, that were ruining the batch. The solution was simple. Heat the liquid gently to kill the bacteria without harming the yeasts. I call this process pasteurization, and it saved the wine and beer industries of France. But it was only the beginning. If bacteria could spoil wine, could they also cause disease? The thought haunted me. The scientific establishment was not ready for my ideas. When I proposed that microorganisms, germs, might be responsible for disease, I was met with ridicule. The leading minds of the time believed in spontaneous generation, the idea that life could arise from nothing. They thought disease was caused by bad air or miasmas. I was determined to prove them wrong. In 1861, I conducted an experiment that would change everything. I boiled broth in 2 flasks, one with a straight neck and one with a swan neck, that allowed air in but trapped dust and microorganisms. The broth in the straight neck flask spoiled. The broth in the swan neck flask remained clear. Why? Because the microorganisms in the air couldn't reach it. Life did not arise spontaneously. It came from other life. This experiment dealt a death blow to the theory of spontaneous generation and laid the foundation for the germ theory of disease. But proving the theory was one thing, convincing the world was another. I faced resistance at every turn. Some called me a charlatan, others accused me of heresy, but I pressed on because I knew the truth would save lives. In 1865, the French silk industry was on the brink of collapse. Silkworms were dying by the millions from a mysterious disease called pebrine. The government asked for my help, and I threw myself into the work. For 5 years I lived in the south of France, studying silkworms under my microscope. I discovered that the disease was caused by a microscopic parasite, and I developed a method to identify and eliminate infected worms. It was painstaking work, but it saved the silk industry and taught me a valuable lesson. Science could be a weapon against suffering. In 1868, disaster struck. I suffered a stroke that left me partially paralyzed. For months I could not work. I feared my career was over. My left side was weak, and I had to relearn how to write with my left hand. My wife Marie was my rock. She stood by me through every setback, every late night in the laboratory, every battle with the scientific establishment. We had 5 children, but only 2 survived to adulthood. The others were taken by typhoid and another illness, losses that haunted me. Perhaps that is why I fought so hard to save others. But my greatest battle was yet to come. In 1878, I turned my attention to anthrax, a deadly disease that was ravaging livestock and even killing humans. I isolated the bacterium, Bacillus anthracis, and proved it was the culprit. But how to stop it? I remembered the work of Edward Jenner, who had developed a vaccine for smallpox using cowpox. Could the same principle apply to anthrax? I weakened the anthrax bacteria by exposing them to oxygen and heat, then injected them into sheep. The sheep survived. When I exposed them to the full-strength bacteria, they remained healthy. The first bacterial vaccine was born. But my most famous triumph came in 1885 with rabies. Rabies was a death sentence, a slow, agonizing descent into madness. I had been studying the disease for years, but it was caused by a virus which was too small to see under my microscope. Still, I believed I could weaken the virus and create a vaccine. Then, on a hot July day, a mother brought her 9-year-old son, Joseph Meister, to my laboratory. The boy had been bitten by a rabid dog. His fate seemed sealed. But I had been testing my vaccine on dogs, and though I was not yet confident in its safety for humans, I could not turn him away. For 10 days I injected Joseph with increasingly strong doses of the weakened virus. He lived. The vaccine worked. That moment changed everything. People flocked to my laboratory from all over Europe, desperate for a cure. I treated thousands, and though not all survived, many did. The Pasteur Institute was founded in 1887 to continue this work, and it stands to this day as a beacon of hope in the fight against disease. Science is not just about discoveries and accolades. It is about doubt, failure, and perseverance. I was not always patient. I had a temper, and I could be stubborn. But I believed in the power of science to alleviate suffering, and that belief drove me forward. I wanted to leave the world better than I found it. After my death, scientists built on my discoveries, developing vaccines for polio, measles, and countless other diseases. The germ theory became the cornerstone of modern medicine. Hospitals adopted antiseptic practices, saving millions of lives. And yet I must acknowledge that not all of my ideas stood the test of time. I believed in the inheritance of acquired characteristics, a theory that was later disproven by genetics. Science is a journey, not a destination, and even the greatest minds are products of their time. Today, when you wash your hands, receive a vaccine, or drink a glass of pasteurized milk, you are living in a world shaped by my work. But the fight is not over. New diseases emerge and old ones evolve. The battle against ignorance and suffering continues, and it is up to each new generation to take up the mantle. So here I am, Louis Pasteur, a man who started as a mediocre student and ended up outwitting death itself. I tell you this not to boast, but to remind you that curiosity and perseverance can change the world. Science is not just for the brilliant or the privileged. It is for the curious, the stubborn, the ones who refuse to accept that things have to be the way they are. If there is one lesson I leave you with, it is this: question everything. Look at the world with wonder, but also with a critical eye, and never ever give up. The next great discovery could be hiding in the most unexpected place, just waiting for someone brave enough to seek it. Now, my friend, I have talked your ear off. Shall we have another cup of coffee?
Thank you for watching. While the goal of Unbound American Stories is to share the stories of American heroes, we will at times also highlight the lives and accomplishments of heroes from around the world. Today's hero is part of our Champions of Health from Around the World series. In this series, we present our hero in the words we imagine that they might have said, and in a voice that we imagine might have been similar to their actual voice. If you enjoyed this episode and want to learn about other forgotten or underappreciated heroes, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Who should we uncover next? Did we miss an important fact? Did we get something wrong? Do you know more about today's hero that you would like to share? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep the flame of curiosity alive.